Nicky Austin is the Emmy nominated hairstylist from Ted Lasso. I'm Matt Noble Gold Derby, and I want to kick things off, Nicky, by asking you, what was the biggest challenge for you in approaching this most recent season of the show?
We always trying to up your game. I've got to kind of keep everyone's character, but then make everyone also look like they've progressed. Finding different and original looks for Premier League footballers, and there are so many of them. Just coming up with new ideas and, how to kind of push it, make it even better. You're always just trying to improve on what's already there. And season 2 was so successful. Season 1 was so successful. So you're just always trying to come up with new ideas. And in the case of some characters, they always want to move on. Like Jamie, for example, he always wants to find a new look every season. So it's just a lot of racking your brain, and then you get new characters as well. So you're always trying to come up with new ideas to kind of change things up a little bit.
Yeah. Now, as a hairstylist, how do you think hair helps sort of tell story and reveal things about characters?
Well, in our case, it does make a huge difference. I mean, take Nate, for example, his journey from being this kind of, he had jet black hair, this boyish fringe cut when we first meet him in season 1. And by the end of season 2, the color's gone from his eyes and his hair, basically. The darkness has set in. And I can talk about that openly now because it's all out there. So that's great.
Yes.
So it was always in his plan, in Jason's Sudeikis' mind anyway, to lose the color from his hair. It was something he came up with in his mind at the start of season 2, and we gradually wanted to show that. And I think the hair really helped. Obviously his costume changed as well, which was a huge help, and he got much slicker, and as he moved to West Ham. But his hair for a lot of people was quite shocking. And I think it worked really well. I think it told a story. People do suddenly go grey when they have extremely stressful situations. It does happen in real life. And I think him in particular, there are lots of examples in Ted, but him in particular has had the hugest hair transition out of everyone, for sure.
And he also talked about Jamie Todd and how his hair's changed over the seasons. What was the hair telling us about him in season 3?
So I wouldn't say he's more mature necessarily in terms of his hair. His character's definitely matured a lot. He had quite a shocking end to season 2. It was kind of around Ep 8 when things really got sour with his dad. I think it was when they were at Wembley, if I remember, in season 2. And then in season 3, we see a much kinder, definitely see a kinder side of Jamie. He's still immature in that he wants to emulate David Beckham. There's nothing, necessarily grown up about his hair until we see him in episode 12 in the montage, where we kind of changed it a little bit. So we do that sometimes, throw in a few mature hairstyles for him when he's having an adult moment. But overall, I think Jamie is just fun. He obviously changes a lot throughout the seasons, but his hair was always fun. We always wanted to copy someone. So we went with Ronaldo, then we went with Jack Grealish, and then we went with David Beckham, because he just idolizes amazing footballers, Jamie Tartt, because football is his life, basically.
Yeah. So you're nominated for an Emmy this season, as you were last season. But Phil Dunster received his first Emmy nomination for playing Jamie Tartt, which was really cool, because I think he has had such a great 3-season arc on the show that was very rewarding. What is it like when you see sort of performances where you've worked on their hair, you've helped contribute to those characters receive Emmy nominations?
I wanted his this year more than I wanted my own. I literally was like, if Phil doesn't get nominated this year, I'm lose my... He is so brilliant. I don't think people realize, he's not from Manchester. So to even that accent and the way he portrays Jamie is so brilliant. His subtlety in his comedy, he's so brilliant. And then when he's got to be serious, as we've seen, he's got, you know, really serious sides. There's a really serious side to Jamie as well, let alone the fact that boy can actually kick a ball. Like, he's an actor, but he can also do the crossbar challenge. Like, this part was made for Phil. He's such a nice guy to work with. Never a bad day on the makeup truck. Always up for everything. And he's just thoroughly deserved it. I'm so pleased for him. And I texted him straight away. And I was like, and I posted on my Instagram story, I did his nomination, and then I used Lizzo's "About Damn Time" lyrics, because I was like, it's about damn time this guy got a nomination, because he thoroughly deserves it.
This show has won Emmy Awards Best Comedy Series its first 2 years. It's nominated again. It's the most nominated comedy series this year. We've both got believe signs behind us. What do you believe is the sort of special thing about this show?
There's so much, but I think the message of the show to people who haven't seen it, they might think it's about football, but it's not really about football. It's about family. It's about the family you're born with and the family you make. And I think it shows through the screen what a family we all are, both behind and in front of the camera. It's all real. Like, you know, Richmond became a family. This is not a real football club. This is not like we've taken Chelsea or Arsenal and this is all from our writers and our brilliant exec producers who've created Richmond. It's not a real team. And yet my son is obsessed with all things Richmond, and so many people around the world are. And it's because we get an insight into these people's like lives, and we're invested. And because the show is so much about family, it's about being a parent, and it's about people's relationship with their parents, and then the bonds that they form with people who are basically strangers, like Ted and Rebecca, and the forgiveness that Ted shows her. And it's just not a human trait you come across that often. He's such a special man. And equally, Keely Jones, she's just clearly such a special human. And I think people they want to be that good, basically. I think that's what people want to be. It's hard in modern life, but I think most men would like to be like Ted, and would like to be like Keely.
Yeah.
To be that kind.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment from the 3 seasons of the show?
There's been so many. Yeah. To watch being filmed, I think I did get really emotional. Episode 12, when we all got very emotional, actually. We left that till last, when they're in the locker room and Ted and Beard have made the video for the boys. That was quite hard to watch. We were all quite emotional. And Ted and Rebecca saying goodbye at the airport, that was quite emotional. There have been so many hilarious moments. The boys doing bye 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 was brilliant. I mean, season 2, and So Long Farewell. And there's been times where I've literally like been in stitches, especially with Brett and Phil, because like Brett and Phil can't do a scene together without bursting into hysterics in general. And there've been some times, and you know, it's a long day on set, and you kind of want to go home, but you forgive them because it's so funny.
Yeah.
So all those moments, and then sometimes Jason is just so brilliant. He'll just ad lib. He'll just be sat in the office, and or in the locker room, and he'll just go, and it's so brilliant. Whatever he comes out with is so genius. And yeah, it was genuinely a joy most of the time to film.
Like, from speaking with some of the other people who've worked on the show, they sort of say something about Jason and about the like show and the producer in general is like a good idea can come from anywhere, and they sort of really value input, and like there's a real culture of, you know, everyone contributing to make the show better. Can you think of, Nicky, a particularly like good idea or an idea that you had that contributed to the show?
I mean, there was a time when Jason came on the makeup bus and I was listening to Alanis Morissette, season 2, and then he went, and he was like, I was literally listening to this song, and he was like, turn it up. And we played her album, and then I watched season 2, I think it was Ep 3, when we first meet Nora, Sassy's daughter, and it's the opener of the episode. And I was like, so yeah, Jason's like that though. I mean, if he doesn't like an idea, he'll tell you, but he's never dismissive or disrespectful. And a lot of those guys, you know, people would come to them with ideas of things that they prefer to say or do in their scene, and he was totally up for it. I mean, look at Nick Mohammed playing the violin, you know, Jeremy Swift playing the double bass, like all these things, these extra skills that people have, that I think they just kind of said to Jason, by the way, I can do this if you wanted to utilize it. And even like, I think Hannah, I don't think originally Rebecca was necessarily supposed to sing. Jason loves karaoke anyway, so getting that in was probably always there, but I'm not sure if it was a prerequisite. And I think Hannah had a conversation with him when she first met him or something, and she said, to shame Rebecca can't sing or something like that, and he went, oh, she does now. Like, he just makes the most, he brings the most out of everyone. He looks at what they have to offer as a cast and a crew, and he listens to your ideas. He doesn't dismiss anything. He's never rude. Like, you know, he might go like that, but generally, like, it is a team effort overseen under our leader, who we all are very grateful to.
Yeah. Now, as hairstylist, I was curious, like, does Ted's mustache fit under your responsibility?
Well, we do makeup as well. In the UK, we do hair and makeup. So I'm the head of hair and makeup. So I made Jason up, and I did his hair, and I kept his moustache in line, and yeah, and everyone, any kind of skin or hair all went through me. And it was definitely, I wouldn't say it was a challenge, but it was definitely like a focal point every day. You know, he was in the chair every day. But I mean, the last season was nearly a year, and we always had to make sure it was that same shape and that same style, because I don't feel like Ted would have changed his look too much. And it's, you know, people love it. People copy it.
Yeah, that was iconic. Like, it's a very,
iconic,
probably the most iconic thing, hair or makeup part of the show. Nicky, now you're nominated for Best Contemporary Hairstyling again this year at the Emmy Awards. You've submitted the episode that you're recognized for is the So Long Farewell season final episode. We don't know if that's going to be the final episode of the series, or if but what we do know is it rounds out that 3-season story arc that of the show. Did you approach, knowing that it sort of in some ways was an ending of storyline stuff, do you approach that episode any differently with that in mind? Or
well, I knew because I knew he was shooting those final scenes, and I think it's really important as a hair and makeup designer to know where all your characters are going to finish. So Jason, he did keep the kind of script to himself a little bit towards the end, because you have to be so careful nowadays, because you can't, you know, leaks would just spoil it for everyone. But I did kind of, you know, say to him, you know, ask him a few questions, and I started preparing for it quite early on. And once I'd seen the script, that I'd seen the draft, and I knew what was going to happen, I knew just how special it was going to be. Obviously, I knew Jason was writing it, and he was co-writing it with his creators, so I knew it was going to be the best episode. And in my opinion, I think it's phenomenal. I knew it was probably the one that I was probably going to submit to the Academy, because those montage moments were just so special. And me and my team said, we always give 100%. We're going to give 150 to this one, because this is such a moment, this episode. It was so well written and so well directed. And also, you kind of wanted to, like, in certain people's characters, you kind of wanted to change them slightly, because the montage had moved on a little bit in a way. So we had an opportunity to change a few people just really subtly. And I think there's a lot of different hairstyles in that episode. So I was like, guys, this is the one. We've got to try for this one. If we're gonna, got some stiff competition this year, but if we're gonna have a shot, it's got to be at 12. It's so good. I mean, I'd watched it being made, and when I watched it, the final cut, I mean, our editors did a phenomenal job. I cried. I felt like it was really, really well done.
Yeah. And like the team you're nominated with are made up of, I think, Nicky Springle, Sophie Roberts, and Nicola Page. What does it mean to all of you as a team to get that recognition from the TV Academy?
They're all, I mean, once we were nominated, I was literally like, first thing I did was call them all, congratulate them. Nicky Springle was nominated with me last year. And then Sophie Roberts and Nicola Pope are new this year. So Sophie looked after Hannah, amongst a few others, but she looked after Hannah, and her work, she deserved to be nominated. Her work was just phenomenal. And then, they've all got Nicky Springle's been with me for all seasons. Nicola Pope's done too. We're all Richmond till we die. So the fact that those girls are getting recognized, it's obviously a bigger team than I'm allowed to nominate, because they don't allow you to nominate certain positions, but it's a team effort. Like, I can't do everyone myself, especially when I've got, because I personal for Juno and Jason. I need those guys. They're like, they're my right arm and my left arm and everything else. And so I was just so thrilled that I was able to nominate everyone with me this year who worked so hard. And hopefully we all get to go to the awards. I'm hoping. I think everyone's just hoping it's still going to go ahead at the moment. So with bated breath, but just to be nominated, I mean, we're up against, Abbott's Elementary, we're up against The Last of Us. I mean, we've got the White Lotus. Pretty stiff competition this year, but just to be up amongst those guys is such an honor. Like, it's overwhelming. I'm always in shock. I just can't believe that it even happened, and my luck to get to be on a show like this for the last 4 years.
Yeah,
amazing.
And it's an interesting category because, we do it. This is one of the Emmy categories where you got drama and comedy series competing against each other. So that's like, it's sort of, we see a few interesting matchups that we don't see in some of the other races. So that's fun.
Yeah.
What does also mean to you to be part of a show that's had so much Emmy success, that is the reigning best comedy series champ?
Crazy, really. I mean, I feel like when I first got offered this show back in, I think it was April 2019, the producer said to me, I'm doing this little comedy. I just got off maternity leave. She said, I'm doing this little comedy. I think you'd be good for it. And I said, well, okay, I can do a little comedy. Where's it shooting? She said, oh, it's only West London. It's only 3 months. It'll be great. And I was like, okay. And then I spoke to my friend. She was like, I don't think it's going to be that little. It's Warner Brothers. Jason Sudeikis is the lead. And I was like, okay. I phoned her back and I was like, are you sure? Like,
Yeah.
I've just, I've got a 2-year-old at home. I mean, it sounds pretty big. She was like, you'll love it. Yeah. And she was right. I remember my first day, July 2019. The first time I met Jason, and first time I read the pilot, I was like, this is good. This is going to do really well. And then you're just waiting for everyone to watch it. And Apple TV Plus was new at the time. It was like their first real show.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, oh, we don't have Apple TV. I don't have Apple TV. And I was like, trust me, get it. Like, it's so good. And so obviously for it to do so well in its freshman season, I was like, I told you so. But also I was like, I was right And it's changed my career. Changed so many people's career out of our cast and crew. And I wouldn't take it back for a second, and I'd do it all again in a heartbeat.
There we go. Well, Nicky, thank you so much for talking with us today. People can go to goldderby.com to follow the Emmy race and make your predictions for Ted Lasso in all the different categories. All the best of luck for the upcoming Emmy Awards, Nicky. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.